Scanning for audio.
Welcome once again to the Tin Dog Podcast, number 98. Yes, it's almost time for the magical TDP number 100. And don't worry, I have got some plans in order for that. I'm sorry to say that I won't be covering dimensions in time, or even search out science. Unless they've made it into my top 20 Doctor Who type things. Because that's what the show 100 is going to be. It's going to be a countdown of my favourite Doctor Who things. Not necessarily episodes or stories, just Doctor Who-ness. I've made the list, I'm gathering samples together, and hopefully you'll join me for that. I'd like to dedicate this week's show to two of Tony's cats. Tony Galashaw, who presents the Flashing Blade podcast. Sadly, he's lost two of his cats in the last week or so. Sorry to hear that, because I know how much I'd be upset if I lost mine. I'm not going to bother regaling you with any more exciting news, because to be honest, I don't really think there is any. Apart, of course, from all of the fantastic emails I've been getting of late about my potential Prisoner podcast. It still doesn't really have a name. Not a lot of people grasped why it was called Tally Ho, which of course is the newspaper from the village, so perhaps just a quite ordinary Prisoner podcast. My plan as it stands at the moment is to cover all 17 of the original series, and, as is tradition in The Prisoner, I will have a new and different number 2 every week. My guest number 2s will be podcaster presenters who you'll be familiar with from other shows. I've contacted many of them already, and quite a lot of them have already said yes, so I'm looking forward to recording them one at a time and releasing them in the future. But enough about that. Let's talk about Doctor Who.
You're reading my thoughts.
You are a Time Lord, a Lord of Time. Are there lords in such a small domain?
And where do you function?
Eternity. The endless wastes of eternity.
You are pathetic. I have watched your progress. You have had many opportunities to destroy the Doctor.
I can't kill him! He speaks to me as well. I serve him as I wish to serve you.
Enlightenment is one of those stories that you can't talk about without giving away the central twist. Now, I'm going to put my hands up straight away and say that this is perhaps my all-time favourite Doctor Who story. It wasn't always the case. In fact, for a very long time around its broadcast, I genuinely disliked this story for almost exactly the same reason that I actually like it now. So if you haven't seen it, take it as read that I genuinely love this story and that you should watch it. However, the chances are if you're listening to this, you have seen it. You've found it somewhere, or by now you've actually watched it on the Black Guardian Trilogy box set, be it Disc 1 or Disc 2 of Enlightenment, because it comes in 2 sets. You see, here we have something wonderful. We have Enlightenment Special Edition, running at 1 hour 15 minutes, a new edit with brand new effects running throughout, and it's in widescreen, and it's, well, simply lovely to watch. Originally, the idea of the Special Edition was to come in about 45 minutes to see if you could have old Doctor Who running with the pacing of new Doctor Who. The original director was called in to do this, but as the original story had so much going on, they couldn't cut half as much as they thought they could. And so, on the second disc, we have a wonderful, wonderful edition of a great story. But it's the classics amongst us, of course, that we have to talk about. The original 4-episode storyline. Because at the end of episode 1, there's such a wonderful turnaround. that it caught me quite off guard originally. You have to remember I was 10. Right, no messing about. What's the story about? Taken from my DVD box, and not, I suspect, yours, Enlightenment by Barbara Clegg. When the White Guardian appears, uttering a cryptic warning of imminent danger, the winner takes all, and I'd like to point out at this point that it's not the game show hosted by Buck Tarbrush. You know, that's such an obscure reference. I think I'll let that go and move on. The Doctor is puzzled, and then the TARDIS materializes in an old Edwardian sailing ship. Before long, however, he is amazed to discover that the ship, along with the others, is sailing through space. The Doctor and his companions soon become caught up in a sailing race run by the mind-reading Eternals. The first prize in this race, Enlightenment, the ultimate wisdom to gain one's heart's desire, and some of the more devious crews will stop at nothing in order to claim it. But as the Black Guardian's evil mesh draws tight, it looks though the Doctor might not live to cross the finishing line. ... And from that, of course, you can realise that this is the story that a lot of people were talking about when Voyage of the Damned from New Series was brought out. It's a ship, a classic design, that happens to be in space. Actually, in this story, there's a Greek ship, a pirate ship, the Edwardian Clipper, and a host of others, all captained by the Eternals. The Eternals are best explained by being more ethereal creatures who take on human form in order to exist. They leech off the experiences and thoughts of others, almost like a drug. No references to Torchwood are available at this point, so moving on. There are some superb performances. Mark Strickson's character starts at number 9 on a scale of 1 to 10 and quickly moves up to 11. There is some shouting, some massive, almost overacting, and then there's just some overacting. It's heightened reality. It's gorgeous to behold. It's tightly scripted, tightly formatted, and I'm sorry, but if you're expecting me to have a go at this story, you're just not going to be disappointed. Yeah, the casting's a little bit odd. The sitcom-tastic Linda Barron, Nurse Gladys Emanuel from Open All Hours, is an interesting choice. For some of the younger people amongst us, she might be more familiar to you as owning a dog called Pippin and an aeroplane in the TV series for kids Come Outside. Jokingly, she often says at conventions that for the part she used to wear padding and now she wouldn't need to. Her performance is odd as an Eternal because they're all hollow creatures, and yet she's so full of life. It gives some interesting choices. Perhaps I'm reading too much into it, I just don't know. The rest of the Eternals, the captains, the upper class, are as removed as the upper class often seem to be in such dramas, which is why it's a surprise to discover that they're aliens. Keith Barron, another sitcom-tastic actor, gives a great performance as the captain. And of course, Enlightenment seems to be a strange, glowing city at the edge of the solar system, and that I'm sure we can all live with, because at the end, we finally get to see Turlough take on the Black Guardian and the White Guardian and win back his soul, and rid himself of the rather nice bath tap. This DVD is wonderful, because it's a double one. I've already mentioned the special edition. Yes, I know a lot of people out there are against new special effects, but if you're after introducing Doctor Who to a new audience, give this one a go. Shove it in the machine, you won't be ashamed. They've been tarted up and it's in widescreen. You can watch it on your newfangled TV screens. Okay, it's not in HD, but who cares? It's an overlooked classic, well worth examining. Next time I had planned to talk about Twin Dilemma, but I think I'll be talking about the Keys to Marinus instead, saving Twin Dilemma for show 99. Here's a little taster.
There must be someone you can send for these keys.
Through the years, all my friends, all my followers have gone. They have never returned. Last year, I sent my daughter. She has not come back. All I have now to comfort me is the distant echo of her voice, the imagined sound of her footsteps. But now your coming has brought new hope. Oh, yes, yes. You must find the keys for me.
This, my lords, is the reproduction of the stolen micro-key. Do you recognize this young lady?
Yes.
And do you know where it is now?
Yes, I do.
Then please tell the tribunal where its present location is.
It is here.
Where did you get it?
It was given to me by the man who killed the guard.
Is he here?
Yes.
Then please point him out to us.
There, sitting in the front row.
But she can't have found it. All right. I'll tell you everything. I'm not in this alone. They made me do it. I'll tell you.
One of the extras on the DVD is a little Easter egg. In fact, you can find these on all 3 discs, giving the TARDIS information all about the story. The little screen that popped up in Peter Davison's first story to tell Tegan all about the hydrogen inrush. Here, it's accessible, and it tells you all about different characters in the story. Here's an example.
Linda Barron, Captain Rack, first appeared, albeit not on screen, in Doctor Who in the 1966 serial The Gunfighters, as the voice that sings The Ballad of the Last Chance Saloon, heard throughout that story.
Till your last long ride.
Keith Barron appeared with Peter Davison in Holding the Fort, a season of which was made while Davison was also appearing as the Doctor. Eternals are briefly mentioned again in the novel The Quantum Archangel, in which it's revealed that Kronos, the chronivore in the Time Monster, is the offspring of an Eternal and a chronivore. 2 Eternals also appear in the Bernice Summerfield audio The Heart's Desire, in which it turns out that Enlightenment wasn't the choice, but the diamond after all. The Eternals lived in the void that was later to become the gateway between parallel universes in the stories Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. Barbara Clegg became the first solo female writer to contribute a script to the series.
It's rather sweet, and something I really hope they keep going with. There are some great interviews with Mark Strickson and Sarah Sutton, all about how they got the part and their experiences on the show, all well worth a look. And well worth a listen, as always, is the particularly well-executed commentary track. Before I leave, I'd just like to read out this Whostrology that I did specially for one of the presenters of the Staggering Stories podcast. If you'd like your own Whostrology, remember, visit eBay, type in the word Whostrology, and follow the instructions. For £3.99, you can be the proud owner of your very own certificate and your very own Whostrology reading. Keep the Tin Dog podcast running. So until next time, be seeing you.
With a special Whostrology for Andrew Paul Simpkins, born on the 11th of August 1964. Born during the Reign of Terror, you share your birthday with Ron Granger, Brian Badco, John Gorey and Ian Thompson. You were born in the time of the First Doctor, with Susan, Barbara and Ian in your first house. Your Whostrology. If you are careful, you won't lose your head. To rule by fear is not to rule at all. Always remember that your destiny lies in the stars. It's up to you to find it. Try to get your friends home in one piece. It is a musical day, though you may not recognize what others have done with your work. You may never hear someone say "cacarark." When travelling, be it in France or further, ensure you always know the location of your keys and pack insect repellent. And I think that says more than you can possibly imagine. You have been listening to the Tin Dog Podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all trademark of the BBC. No infringement is intended. Contact us at tin-dog@hotmail.co.uk.
I'm having a brilliant night, and I love being here. I love being here. What a fantastic house. I love Big Brother.
Are you pleased that Marcus stayed?
There's no love lost between me and Marcus. I feel like I know Marcus. I know his personality, and I know that he's got quite good points to his personality, but I would say that like 80% of Marcus's personality does not mix that well with with my personality. I don't like the fact that he stomps around swearing all the time. He puts quite a focus on being negative. Also, he likes science fiction. I'm not friends with anyone that likes science fiction. And he's just a bit weird. He's just a bit weird and not really my type of guy.